Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever wanted a woman so bad it hurt, but no matter what you did, she just didn't feel the same? You text her first thing in the morning. You give her compliments. You're there whenever she needs you. And instead of falling for you, she pulls away. Meanwhile, she's chasing the guy who barely even notices her. Crazy, right? Well, here's the truth nobody tells you. Attraction isn't about looks. It's not about money. And it's not about being the so-called nice guy. It's about psychology. Cold, raw human psychology that's been shaping attraction for thousands of years. Because women don't fall for the guy who gives them the most attention. They fall for the guy who triggers the strongest emotions in their brain. And today, I'm going to show you 7 powerful psychological triggers that can rewire how a woman feels about you. Once you understand these, you won't just get her attention, you'll stay on her mind long after you've left the room. So lean in, brother, because what I'm about to share could change the way women see you forever. Trigger 1. The dopamine loop. Hook her mind like a drug. Let me tell you a story. There's this guy, Jay. Jay wasn't tall, rich, or famous. Just a regular dude. He worked a 9-to-5, went to the gym a couple of times a week, and hung out with his buddies on the weekend. Nothing about him screamed superstar. But when he started talking to this one girl, something strange happened. She couldn't get enough of him. She'd text him good morning before he even woke up. She'd skip out on hanging with her friends just so she could spend more time with him. And whenever he didn't reply right away, she would start to overthink and get nervous, refreshing her phone just to see if he had responded. What was his secret? It wasn't looks, money, or smooth pickup lines. It was something far deeper. Jay understood one powerful truth. Women don't fall for who you are, they fall for how you make them feel. Most guys don't get this. They believe attraction is built through constant attention, sending her good morning, beautiful texts every single day, replying to her messages the second they come in, and never giving her a chance to wonder what he's up to. But here's the problem with that. The human brain doesn't crave consistency. The human brain craves unpredictability. Think about social media. Why do people scroll endlessly, even when they know they should stop? Because every swipe carries the chance of a surprise. Maybe you'll see a hilarious meme, maybe a shocking headline, maybe a video that hits you in the heart. That uncertainty is what hooks the brain, because every maybe creates a small burst of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. That's the same chemical released when gamblers pull the slot machine lever. It's not the win that hooks them, it's the possibility of a win. Jay applied this exact principle to dating. Sometimes he would surprise her with something spontaneous, like taking her out for late-night ice cream or sending her a voice note that made her laugh uncontrollably. Other times, he would go quiet for a day or two, not because he was playing games, but because he was focused on his own projects and goals. That mix of unforgettable highs and mysterious gaps created a loop in her mind. She never knew what to expect next, and that unpredictability made her crave him even more. That, brother, is the dopamine loop. If you're predictable, you become routine, and routine gets boring. But when you give her emotional peaks, followed by just enough space to miss you, you turn yourself into her favorite habit, the one she doesn't want to quit. Trigger 2. Scarcity creates value. Let's be real, brother. We've all been there. You meet a girl you really like, and suddenly, she becomes your world. You're texting her all the time, checking if she's eaten, dropping little compliments every hour, and saying yes to her schedule even if it wrecks yours. You think you're showing her how much you care, but instead, you're actually doing the opposite of what creates attraction. Because the more available you are, the less she values your presence. That's exactly what happened to Omar. He met this gorgeous girl at a friend's birthday party. The connection was instant. Laughs, smiles, numbers exchanged. Everything seemed perfect. Omar thought, all right, I need to lock this down. From that day on, he made himself available 24/7. If she texted, he replied within seconds. If she wanted to hang out, he'd cancel plans with his friends. He thought loyalty and consistency would win her over. But within 2 weeks, she was gone, ghosted him like he never mattered. Why? Because psychology is simple. People value what feels rare. Think about diamonds. On paper, they're just shiny rocks. But because they're scarce, people will spend millions for them. The same principle applies to your attention. When you hand it out freely and constantly, it stops being special. Subconsciously, you're telling her, "My time has no value." And that kills desire instantly. Months later, Omar learned his lesson. He stopped chasing and started building. He focused on his career, hit the gym, picked up new hobbies, and spent time with friends. His life became full. One night, he bumped into that same girl again. But this time, he wasn't hanging on her every word. He was calm, grounded, and present. And funny enough, she started leaning in, asking questions, showing interest. Because now his time and energy felt scarce. And scarcity is magnetic. Here's the truth, brother. If she has to earn your attention, she'll treasure it. But if you hand it out like candy, she'll toss it aside. Scarcity doesn't mean being cold. It means building a life so rich and full that your presence becomes a privilege, not a guarantee. Trigger 3. Mystery over certainty. Here's a truth most men never learn. Women aren't obsessed with men they completely figure out. They're obsessed with men who spark curiosity, who make them lean forward wondering, who is this guy really? That curiosity is fuel for attraction. Think about your favorite Netflix show. You don't binge it because you already know the ending. You binge it because every episode leaves you hanging, wanting answers, needing to know what happens next. That tension keeps you glued to the screen. Attraction works the same way. If you meet a woman and instantly dump your entire life story on her, your childhood, your exes, your every thought, you kill the intrigue. There's nothing left to discover. But if you reveal yourself slowly, piece by piece, like chapters in a book, you create that same can't stop watching effect in her mind. One guy I know, Rohan, mastered this without even trying. He dropped casual hints like, "Yeah, when I was backpacking in Spain, I accidentally got lost in the mountains, but that's a story for another time." And then he'd switch the topic. Instantly, the girl would lean in. "Wait, what? You traveled alone? What happened?" That's the magic of mystery. It doesn't mean lying or playing fake games. It means being selective with what you reveal and letting her curiosity pull her deeper. See, predictable equals forgettable. If she knows exactly what you'll say, exactly how you'll act, exactly how the date will go, her brain checks out. But mystery equals magnetic. When she feels like there's always more to discover about you, your passions, your past adventures, your hidden talents, she can't help but stay engaged. And here's the best part. Living with mystery doesn't mean being distant or cold. It simply means living a life so full of purpose and experiences that you can share them piece by piece, like little sparks that keep the fire alive. By the way, brother, if you're finding this eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe to Stoic 95 and hit the bell icon. I've got more deep psychology coming that you won't want to miss. Trigger 4. Leadership energy. This one runs deep, brother. It's primal. If you go back thousands of years, survival wasn't about who had the best jokes or the nicest smile. It was about who could lead the group, make decisions under pressure, and protect the tribe from danger. Every community had someone people trusted to step up and take charge when things got tough. And guess what? That instinct hasn't disappeared. It's still wired into the human brain today, especially in how women respond to men. Women feel naturally drawn to men who move with confidence and direction. And I'm not talking about being controlling, arrogant, or barking orders. I'm talking about grounded leadership, the kind of energy that says, "I've got this." That calm certainty is magnetic because it makes her feel safe, understood, and taken care of. Let me give you a simple example. A guy named Marcus wanted to take a girl out. Instead of sending the same old boring text, "So, what do you want to do? Where do you want to eat?" he said, "I know a cozy little spot downtown." Great food, great vibe. I'll pick you up at 7. Notice the difference? One sounds like uncertainty, the other like confidence. And women love it when a man knows where he's going, not just in life, but even on a Friday night. Now here's the key. Leadership doesn't mean controlling her or ignoring what she wants. It means providing structure, direction, and security so she can relax into the experience. A fake alpha screams for attention, tries to dominate, and ends up looking insecure. But a real leader? He's calm, steady, and decisive. He creates an atmosphere where she doesn't have to worry because she trusts his energy. When you live with that kind of leadership energy, women can feel it without you even saying a word. It shows in your posture, your tone, your decisions. And that presence is rare. That's why it pulls women in so powerfully, because deep down, they're wired to want a man who knows where he's going and invites her along for the ride. Trigger 5. The Scarcity Effect 2.0. Let her feel your absence. Kabir and Ella had been talking almost non-stop for 2 weeks. Their conversations flowed easily, funny memes, late-night jokes, and little check-ins throughout the day. At first, everything felt exciting, like they were building a rhythm. But here's where most guys fall into a trap. They confuse constant communication with connection. They think if they stay in her inbox all day, she'll feel closer to them. The reality? Too much presence kills mystery. And when there's no mystery, there's no magnetism. Kabir understood something most men never realize. Attraction grows in the spaces between interactions, not in the endless flood of them. So one day, instead of waking up and sending his usual good morning message, he didn't text. He didn't reply. He didn't explain. For 2 whole days, his phone stayed silent. And you know what happened? Ella lost her mind. She started checking her notifications constantly, replaying their last conversation, wondering if she had said something wrong. Questions filled her head. Did I bore him? Is he pulling away? Why hasn't he reached out? That silence created more curiosity and desire than all the memes and late-night calls combined. Now here's the key. This isn't about childish games or fake ignoring. Kabir wasn't sitting by his phone, waiting for her to break first. He was living his life. He went to the gym, focused on his side hustle, spent time with friends. His absence was natural because his world didn't revolve around her. That's what makes this work. When you live with purpose, you're not desperately seeking her attention. And women feel that difference instantly. When you step back, you create space. When you create space, she feels your absence. And when she feels your absence, she starts chasing you. The scarcity effect is simple psychology. Humans value what they don't have unlimited access to. By being occasionally unavailable, not out of pettiness, but out of self-respect, you shift the dynamic. Suddenly, she realizes your attention is not guaranteed, and that makes it 10 times more valuable. Trigger 6. The emotional roller coaster is one of the most powerful ways to make a woman truly remember you. Here's the thing, brother, women don't fall in love through logic or reason. They don't sit there thinking about how tall you are, how much money you make, or how nice you are on paper. No, what sticks in their mind is how you make them feel. That's the secret behind the emotional roller coaster. It's about creating a mix of highs, lows, surprises, and warmth that keeps her heart and mind hooked. Let me give you an example. Kabir once took a girl named Ella to a quiet rooftop restaurant with a view that stretched across the city skyline. Instead of showing off his car, his watch, or talking about all the places he'd been, he shared a personal story. He told her about being terrified of the dark as a child and how his father once drove him up a hill just to watch shooting stars. It wasn't some grand gesture or expensive stunt. It was a simple, vulnerable moment. And she melted. Why? Because vulnerability triggers deep emotional connection. By letting her see that side of him, Kabir created an unforgettable experience that went straight to her feelings, not her logic. Think about your own life for a second. Can you remember exactly what you ate for lunch last Tuesday? Probably not. But you can remember the time you laughed until your stomach hurt, the night someone shared a story that gave you chills, or the first time you felt butterflies meeting someone new. Those are emotional experiences, and the brain remembers them far longer than facts or mundane routines. That's why emotional intensity is so critical in attraction. When you deliberately create moments that combine vulnerability, playfulness, tension, and warmth, she starts associating you with excitement and emotional highs. The unpredictable mix keeps her guessing, keeps her thinking about you, and eventually makes your presence feel addictive. You don't need flashy gifts or grand gestures, just the ability to make her feel alive in ways she hasn't experienced before. That's the emotional roller coaster, and when mastered, it's the trigger that makes a woman think about you long after the night is over. Trigger 7. The imprint effect. Leave a memory she'll never forget. Here's the final, and arguably the most powerful step, brother, the imprint effect. If you want a woman to remember you forever, you need to create a moment she can't replicate with anyone else. A memory that sticks in her mind like it's carved into her brain. Think about it. Most men are doing the same thing every day. Endless text messages, constant check-ins, random compliments. They all blur together. A woman might appreciate them in the moment, but they rarely leave a lasting impact. The imprint effect flips that script. It's about creating an experience so unique and emotionally charged that she can't help but associate it with you. One story perfectly illustrates this. A guy I knew took his date to a tucked-away bookstore cafe, the kind of place no one else knows about. They talked for hours, laughing, sharing stories, and opening up about their dreams and fears. Then, out of nowhere, he pulled out 2 slips of paper and said, "Write down one dream you've never told anyone. We'll seal it, and when you achieve it, I'll be the first to celebrate it with you." She froze, speechless, not because it was extravagant or expensive, but because no one had ever made her feel seen like that before. That moment became a mental anchor. Whenever she thought about that night, she thought about him, the way he made her feel, and the way he created something lasting and personal just for her. That's the imprint effect in action. The human brain remembers peak emotional experiences far more vividly than ordinary interactions. You don't need cash, fancy dinners, or flashy gestures. What you need is presence, creativity, and authenticity. Tell a story no one else has heard. Create little rituals that only you two share, or surprise her in a way that shows you've paid attention to the things that matter to her. These unique emotional imprints do something most men never understand. They separate you from the crowd. While other guys are forgotten after a few days, you become unforgettable. The goal isn't to manipulate her. It's to craft a real, meaningful moment that leaves her thinking about you long after the night ends. That's the power of the imprint effect, brother, and if you master it, you won't just be another guy she likes. You'll be the guy she remembers for a lifetime. Brother, remember this. Attraction isn't something that magically grows in her heart. It starts in her mind. Every woman you meet is constantly scanning, consciously or subconsciously, for signals of value, confidence, and uniqueness. When you understand the 7 triggers, the dopamine loop, scarcity, mystery, leadership, absence, emotional roller coasters, and the imprint effect, you're no longer a man who chases after attention or validation. You stop begging for affection, you stop overtexting, and you stop overcompensating. Instead, you step into a space where you control your own energy, and she can't help but notice it. Women don't obsess over men who try to appear valuable. They obsess over men who actually are valuable, men who live with purpose, drive, and calm confidence. So make yourself unpredictable. Don't be too available. Stay grounded in your own life, and focus on being the highest version of yourself. Show up fully as that man, and suddenly her thoughts will naturally circle back to you, again and again. And before you go, don't forget, Subscribe to Stoic 95 and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next video that could change how you understand attraction forever.